So it's Tuesday, every Tuesday at noon. I'm Lee Godbold, and we are Junk Removal Authority. We're going live with all my friends in the junk removal industry. We're going to be making hay with the JR and the A today. So what are we talking about? We're talking about mistakes and problems in your junk removal business and whatever the heck y'all want to talk about. So we're on Facebook Live, we're on YouTube Live. Y'all give us some messages, questions, comments, whatever you got. We're going to respond. We're going to help you get started in junk removal, grow your business, and expand your horizons and your mindset while you blow up your junk removal business in 2019. So Aaron's going to let me know if whenever we have any questions at all. So any questions at all, just chime in. We're going to get started in talking about mistakes, problems that you're going to encounter with your junk removal company, problems that we've encountered and mistakes we've made in the past. Hopefully by me coming forward and talking about all the mistakes, or not all of them, but as many of them as I can remember at the very moment, it'll help y'all avoid some of those. So, number one, if mistakes are not happening, if you're not having problems in your business, the only reason that's occurring is because you're not making enough decisions and you're not taking enough chances. It's just going to happen, especially if you're brand new in business. You're going to be making mistakes, and you're certainly, no matter if you're brand new or if you're established, you're going to be having problems. What happens is the more you encounter those problems, the less it doesn't seem like it's as big of an issue. So as you have more vehicles and as you have more people, you're able to adapt and address issues and fix problems a lot quicker than they occur. So I'm going to start going through a list of some of the problems we've made building our junk removal company, Junk Doctors, that we've made all over the, throughout the years. Number one, this is in no particular order of importance. We bought used vehicles. The first 6 vehicles we bought were used. And for the longest period of time, up until really recently, I always assumed that that was a smart decision, that was the best way to go. It wasn't, but it wasn't. It was a mistake. I don't think the first vehicle we got could have been new because I had no credit history whatsoever when we started this. I mean, I didn't have a credit card. I never borrowed money my entire life. So we really had to go used on that first vehicle. But that second vehicle, at least that second vehicle, and then potentially on out, should have been all brand new vehicles. And there's a few reasons for that. That first vehicle we got, it worked out great. That thing is still rolling along right now. It's slow as can be. It's got 360-some thousand miles on it. I don't know, it's probably made us $1 million. Since we started with it, we've put very little in it. But other than that vehicle, a lot of the other used vehicles we've bought, with the exception of maybe one other, we've put a significant amount of money into them. I think last year we have 6 used vehicles, and between dump trucks, pickup trucks, and all like that, we've got about 4, what I consider to be 4 or 5 new vehicles. So on those 6 used vehicles last year, we spent somewhere around $85,000 in repair cost. If you figure what we could have done, if you make, let's just keep this simple, and let's say you get a brand new Isuzu NRR with a brand new body on it, you'd be paying somewhere around $1,000 a month for brand new vehicles. So let's do a little quick math here. And yes, brand new vehicles need some maintenance, so it's going to work out to be about the same. But 12,000, let's say it's 12,000 a year times 6, what's that? 72,000, I believe. I think that's 72,000. So that'd be $72,000. We spent $85,000 last year, so we're already in the positive. Now, new vehicles are going to cost more on insurance, but you're not going to have the downtime. That downtime cost us money. I don't have a figure for what that cost us. So I just always want to encourage everybody, buy new vehicles. If you can swing it, that first one right out, buy new vehicles. Because here's the other thing that's going to happen, is right by doing that, you're making a commitment to follow through. You've got a payment that's got to be made every single month for 5 or 6 years, however long you made that pay period. That's going to make you get to work. That's going to make you be smart, and that's going to make you advertise hard and take the swings you need to grow a great big business so you can pay that payment. We got any questions at all, Aaron?
No questions coming in yet, but we do have some hellos coming in from Good Karma, E-Cycling and Junk Removal, Lakeside Junk Removal, and Junk Mob. So hello to all of you guys.
Hey guys, appreciate everybody watching in. Again, any comments, questions, anything you got, throw at us. So Junk Bob's on there. He's going to disagree with me on this, on buying new vehicles. I'd like to hear what he has to say. So please, everybody comment and give us some questions. Some other mistakes we made: starting a shredding business, first year in operation, or second year in operation. I talk about it all the time. You know, I'm against expanding into dumpsters too soon. I'm against just diverting your attention in too many different directions. And we started a shredding business in our second year in operation. I had a friend. He's an older family friend, and he has he has a good amount of money. He believed in me, still does believe in me, and he wanted to invest. And his wife's mother was an older lady, and she would have a shred company come and shred paper, documents or whatever on like a monthly basis. She would just purge whatever she had, and she'd have a shredding company pick stuff up. So he thought it was a great idea as far as, he'd seen shredded around at the time, Cintas and Pro Shred Security and, all these mobile shredding companies. So he wanted to invest, and he wanted us to start a shredding business. So we went out, and he loaned us, I think it was like $30,000 to get this shredding business started. So we purchased, we looked at several different trucks. A company called Shred Tech is actually local here to Apex, and Shred Tech is a huge vendor in the shredding industry. They manufacture paper shred equipment as well as they build these shred trucks. So we went out there and we looked at, there was a couple different options we looked at a Peterbilt, and I think they wanted like $100,000 for it. And I mean, there were several different, it was a used truck. There were several different models we looked at. We finally found a used Shred Tech truck out of Michigan. It was an old International 4700. We paid like $8,500 for it. Those things was way underpowered, so it was slow. But the truck wasn't the problem. That was a good truck. It was a good purchase. The shredder was slow, and it didn't have, now they make them where they lift up and they dump into the shredder, and the shredder works a lot quicker, and it's got a compactor that pushes everything into the back of the truck. But the equipment wasn't the issue. Even though it was a dated piece of equipment, that wasn't the problem. The problem was, one, we didn't have enough money to do the shredding business correctly. And that was because our junk removal business hadn't been successful yet. So we didn't get NAID certified, National Association of Information Destruction, which you pretty much needed to do in order to be able to get a lot of these sensitive contracts. We didn't advertise hard enough. We didn't have the money to. So we went out and hired a CDL driver, but we couldn't afford to pay him full time. So we did not commit fully to shredding. And that was because we couldn't. We didn't have the resources. We didn't have the people and the time in place to do well with either business at that point. So basically for 1 year, that stunted our growth with Junk Doctors. Yeah, we still grew significantly from what we did in year 1 to year 2, but that definitely put a stunt on our growth. Always, always, always do not expand too quick into a new business. Everybody wants to. They get a little success when they start their primary business. Then they reach a point where they might have seemed like it's peaked off. It hasn't peaked. I promise you, a year in, you haven't peaked as long as you're aggressively advertising and doing what you're supposed to be doing. And then the first thing they want to do is start a new business, so they're expanding into other people. You've barely scratched the surface on your first one. Work that primary business until you can afford and you have the time, the people, and the resources to do to really commit to a second business without your primary business suffering. What we got, Aaron?
All right, got a couple questions coming in. First one from Walligan was asking why that type of truck. I'm assuming why the Isuzu.
Isuzu, okay. Are we able to talk at the same time now? Did we get that mixer yet, or are you still having to move me in? Okay, cool.
We're on a mixer. Yeah, guys,
okay,
we're
cool.
Right in here. So if there's any audio issues right now, just let me know. We were a little quiet coming in. Thanks, guys, for pointing that out. Yeah, we got that. Why that type of truck? Walligan, can you clarify, do you mean why like that particular Isuzu or why a new truck? And then we got Good Karma asking, was there ever a time Junk Doctors almost went under because of capital?
Okay, so I'll address the question on the truck first. Love the Isuzu trucks. There's a reason that they're used throughout the junk removal industry. They handle great. They're so easy to drive. Awesome visibility. And a lot of the people that you're going to be hiring in this business are inexperienced drivers. If you put them in a pickup truck and trailer, once you expand and you hire people, they're going to be taking mailboxes out. They're going to be driving through people's yards. And it's also just less accessible. So we do a lot of jobs in tighter confines of areas, you know, going down a narrow alleyway to access a shed or garage that's in the back. And just getting in a tight driveway, and even at a landfill, it's really easy. Landfill transfer station, it's so easy on these trucks to be able to maneuver around to get where you want to go. So Isuzu dump trucks, absolutely love them. Get the dump. We have worked out a deal, great, fantastic price on a brand new truck with a local dealer, about 2 hours away from us in Charlotte. We also work with the same company that builds bodies for a lot of the junk removal, a lot of the junk kings on the East Coast. We've got a fantastic price. You can work with us if you're interested in a new truck body. It's like the low 60s for an Isuzu NRR with a new truck. So again, you're going to be in the 900s, depending on what you put down, 900s on the truck payment. When you first get started and it's just you out on the truck, if you can't go new, I want you to go new, but if you're like I was, where I could not go new, you can go with whatever you can find. If it's a pickup truck and trailer, great. And then that second vehicle, get your credit up and get cash up, where that second vehicle you get is that new Isuzu NRR. Mike asked about capital issues on junk doctors. We've never had an issue where it looked like we were going to go out of business. We've been faced with large bills, and one of the things we'll talk about, I'll go and introduce in here, is talking about issues. So I'm looking through my list here. I thought I put it on there. I believe I did, but I'm not seeing it. So one of the biggest mistakes we made was there was a particular year where we had a workers' compensation audit. And for some reason, we were able to skip the following year's audit. So and then we based our payroll numbers basically off of what happened 2 years prior. So when we got audited 2 years after our most recent audit at that point, all of a sudden we realized that our payroll had like tripled at that point. So we wound up owing like $51,000 on workers' comp. We were able to come up with the money. Luckily enough, we had the income and the profit to be able to come up with that. We worked out a payment plan, and we were able to get that paid off in a relatively short period of time. But that was a big issue. We have had issues in the past. Last winter was tough for not this current winter, but even the last winter. We've been in business, what was that, 5-6 years at that point. There were some months in there. Our fixed cost had gone up because we had more salaried employees, and we had more overhead. We had our rent was higher. We had an extra, and one of the reasons rent was higher is because we're now in 2 places or 3 places, Greensboro, Raleigh, and Charlotte. So we had all these fixed costs, and we were taking losses. So I think December, though December was a good month, December, I believe, 2 years ago, we had 3 pay periods. So we pay our guys every other week. So twice a year, there's always a point where you have 3 pay periods in 1 month. So, and our payroll's $35,000. So we hit, we had over 100K in payroll, and then December was a little bit of a slower month. It wasn't bad, but it was a bit slower. And then January and February, we always lose money. We have for years and years. I mean, we'll lose $15,000, $20,000 in January. We'll probably lose $15,000 in February, generally because our overhead's high. And then it starts picking back up in March. We account for that. We have lines of credit in place. We have a line of credit in place, and we try and build up extra cash reserves. But right now, for example, we're good, but for example, we have a customer that owes us over $50,000, and they're waiting to get paid before they can pay us. So we're supposed to get 10K of that back soon, and then we're still going to be 40K, and we still have invoices coming in for them. It's a customer we've been doing work with a long time. We know they're good for it, but they don't get paid from the people that owe them money are on net 45, so we don't get money generally 50 to 60 days out. That can be tough, especially when we time that in the winter. What's nice is that's keeping us really busy through the winter, but it's also giving us a little bit of a cash crunch because we're not getting paid because we're waiting. It's given us a lot of business over the last month or two, but the payment hasn't come in yet, so that definitely makes it pretty tough. What else we got, Aaron?
We just got a hello from Go Greg O, and he was also,
hey Greg.
He was mentioning that junk and dumpsters, good topic. There's always something comes up when you have to improvise good content, guys. And Wally Gone is back on. When you say expanding your business too fast, does that include using a roll-off truck for flatbed services and dumpster services at the same time?
So, So are you talking about? Is he talking about hauling cars as well? He said flatbed or roll off. What did he say?
He said, does that include using a roll-off truck for flatbed services and dumpster services at the same time?
So if you're in the business of providing dumpsters and hauling stuff, I don't know if he's talking about vehicles or if he's talking about just general freight. That's a different business from junk removal, and it's going to have a similar market. I'd really have to get more details. If you're going to do a dumpster rental business, I would suggest focusing all your efforts on building up accounts with home builders and people that are in the renovation market, home renovators and stuff like that, and just completely focusing. And then if you're going to do residential dumpsters too, then focusing on your advertising to get residential dumpsters. I'd like to see all of your focus in on just building your dumpster business, if that's the route you decide to go at the start. Yeah, I would say now that I've had a little more time to think about it, I wouldn't expand out into too many different. I wouldn't actively advertise for flatbed service. Now, if you have somebody that contacts you and you already know them, and they're asking you, can you assist me with this, and you have the capability of doing it, sure, go out and do it. Same thing with dumpster stuff. If you get approached about, hey, can you assist me with loading this dumpster, sure, go ahead and offer junk removal services. It's going to be harder for a junk removal company to rent out dumpsters unless you're set up with like a switch and go system or hook lift or something like that you're operating your junk removal company out of. I think that's a little unnecessary expense when you first get started. It's also extra weight on your trucks. If you're talking about junk removal and also offering dumpsters. But if you have that set up and you have a customer approach you about, hey, can you rent me a bin for a week? I'd like to load this stuff up on my own. Yeah, that's probably okay too, as long as by renting that bin out, that's not going to leave you short of bins to actually take care of your junk removal customers. So my main thing I'm talking about is don't actively try and build too many different things at once. If something comes to you just because it's a contact you already have and you can make it work, it's a little extra income, it's going to solve that customer's problem, why not? Go for it. Got anything else, Aaron?
Yeah, so Ivan's coming in saying winters suck, so how about a gutter business in the winter?
Yeah, what we need to do, I'd love to bring in Russ with A+ junk removal and A+ gutter cleaning up in New York. He's a customer of ours. My knowledge of the gutter cleaning business isn't great. My very, very limited knowledge is I think you're pretty busy for about 3 months. But I believe a lot of that business comes in the fall. And I'd love to, I think Russ is probably busy doing jobs now where we'd call him up. I tell you what, let's try it. Let's see what happens here. Let's see if we can get in touch with Russ and if he's got a minute.
I want to put like a phone ringing effect on here for you guys, just for fun.
Hey Russ, how you doing today, man?
Oh, living a dream in a basement clean out.
Okay. Do you have? All right, we're doing a Facebook Live and YouTube Live. We do it every day or every Tuesday and Thursday, 12 to 1. If you've got a moment, if you don't worry about it. It's no problem. I figured you were busy, but we've got somebody talking about how junk removal is slow in the winter time, and he was asking if gutter cleaning might be a decent bit. This guy's in Sacramento. If gutter cleaning might be a decent business to get in the winter.
It would be, but it's going to be weather dependent. In California, you should be all right. The problem is that a lot of the houses out there, I don't know if they have a lot of gutter systems, and I believe, I'm not sure where California or where Sacramento is, but one of the valleys out there actually made it a requirement that all new houses have to have gutter guards installed on the house to stop forest fire embers from blowing into the gutters and setting the house on fire, because they have a lot of problems with that when they get forest fires. The embers can blow up to 3 miles away and set houses on fire.
Wow. Okay.
A thing that came out that said that they're requiring all new homes that have to have them. But gutter cleaning is great as long as trees shed their leaves.
Right. So in your case, in the winter, being in Rochester, you're pretty slow from when it comes to gutter stuff from what, December through March? I would think.
We're usually dead until April.
April, okay.
Warm up and then we can start working, but most times we're dead from, mid-December, late December, all the way up until April. So we just sit on our ass for 4 months out of the year.
Gotcha.
That's why I got into this. But yeah, I mean, Sacramento would probably be better because you can do it all year round.
Yep.
Where we're at, the weather doesn't allow us to do it because it's too cold. You know what I mean?
Okay, got it. Okay, and I should have told you you've been live, so you were broadcasting there. I had that up to my mic, so I appreciate that information.
I don't care.
I'm going to let you get back to your work there. That's Russ, A Plus Junk Removal. You can check him out on at what is it? aplusjunkremoval.com. Russ, is that it?
aplusjunking.com.
aplusjunking.com. Okay, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yep. See ya.
See ya. Okay, so there, sometimes I don't know gutter cleaning, so we went straight to the source. He's been in the business for 15 years. Again, I wouldn't divert your focus too much. Building a gutter cleaning business is going to take time. One thing Russ is talking about is he's got time to put towards his junk business, which he's new in right now. He's also got extra capital because he already has a successful gutter cleaning business. I mean, the guy was in business for 15 years before he expanded into junk removal.
All right, so we've got a Facebook question coming in right now from Hami, and he's asking, when will a small business need to add an office?
Yeah, that's a great question. I am in favor of getting an official office and warehouse space as soon as possible, and if rent's reasonable. So some areas of the country, I know Facebook group member Joel Tilford with Junk Patrol in the Sacramento area. He had there was a question that was posed about office rent, and he was talking about rent in his area is like $3,000 a month. It's going to be tough for him to make back that $3,000 a month. But here's what happens when you get your own office. One, you treat your business even more seriously. You have less distractions, so you can stay more focused on what you're doing. That's one of the big things. Two, if you've got a warehouse space, you've got extra storage, so you are able to keep stuff to recycle and sell more than you would otherwise. So if that's part of your business model, that's a great way of doing it. Three, it's much easier to interview guys that you're looking to hire. They're also more willing to come and work with you because when you interview somebody at a McDonald's or a Starbucks or at your house, you look like less of a professional than somebody that's in their own office space. Four, it's great to, you're going to piss off your neighbors depending on what kind of location you're in. Obviously, a lot of this depends on your location. I mean, if you're in an apartment, you're not going to be able to run a business out of your apartment very effectively. If you have a couple acres of land, you've got a shop and a good-sized garage, you have a wife and a girlfriend, or you're single, somebody that's understanding. If you have a wife and a girlfriend, they're understanding of you having junk trucks and junk around, and you've got employees checking in at your house and all that kind of stuff, then that's probably not a bad deal. You can run a very successful business out of your home if you've got a good-sized shop. But you got to make sure you're staying focused. In your particular situation, Hami, it was I think your rent was $350 a month. Again, it's really peanuts. It really is. I've been in a situation where $350 seemed like a major decision. If you make that $350 decision that you should, if you go ahead and you rent that office, it's going to pay off for you. You're going to feel better about your business. You're going to see yourself moving up. Your employees are going to feel a lot better about your business, and it's going to give you, again, it's just like making that truck payment I was talking about. You got that extra little kick in the ass, that swift kick in the ass to put you to work, to make sure you're staying 100% focused, because that's just another payment you've got to make. That $350 a month is going to be a great investment for you. Go ahead today, as soon as this episode's over, go pick up that phone, call that individual, and take out that lease on that place, as long as it's not too long of a lease. Any other questions? Okay, so guys, we're going to keep rolling through just a list of mistakes that we've made throughout the years. So one of the things we talked about here was buying used vehicles. We talked about diverting our attention too much, starting a shred company too soon. One other thing we did, and we've never really talked about this. We got 3 questions. Okay, so just one moment. We'll touch on this. We actually expanded. Again, we expanded too fast, and I haven't thought much about this recently, but we did make a lot of mistakes. I'm always talking about expand, and grow. But you can expand too fast. So we expanded into Charlotte. Aaron, if you're going out, will you grab me a water? Thank you. We expanded out into Charlotte in our second, just after we closed down the shred business. We closed down the shred business, and we decided, we need more customers. We got to get more customers. So we actually expanded into Charlotte for 3 months, and I think it was in 2013. Went absolutely terrible. Christian wound up having to go there, so I was left running Raleigh 100%. And you know, we still, I think at the time we only had like one truck in Raleigh. It was stupid. It was a complete mistake. So then we went off to Charlotte. Thank you. And in Charlotte, it went completely opposite of when we went back there a couple years later. When we first went to Charlotte, we were dead. We were slow. We were doing AdWords, but for some reason the jobs weren't coming in like we anticipated. You know, we were losing money. So not only were we suffering in Raleigh because we were having to pay hourly guys in Raleigh. At the time, Christian was still on the truck. So Christian was in Charlotte, supposed to be on the truck. Instead, he was trying to build a business that, you know, he was very seldom on the truck earning income. He was out trying to sell and all, but the jobs just weren't coming in. So we did 3 months. We lost money for 3 months. Finally, I did realize the writing on the wall and said, we did this way too soon. We need to shut down Charlotte. We'll come back there. We're going to come back to Charlotte. We did 3 years later, but we need to shut down Charlotte. We need to focus all of our attention on Raleigh. All this money we'd saved up to go into Charlotte, we should have been spending that on expanding our Raleigh operations. Again, we expanded too fast. What kind of questions we got?
All right, so we've got a couple coming in. Junk Guys had mentioned he had done it before fall and winter for the gutters. Sacramento's good. And then we got Good Karma in here. I know JRA has taken really good care of Russ, but is Google all he is using?
Let's see. Yes, all Russ is using right now is Google Ads Management. He already had his own website that he had done. You know, he bounced anybody that works with us on ads. You got my personal cell number, so from time to time he'll send me a quick text message and just ask me a question, or he might give me a call, just on kind of just getting some questions answered. That's one of the great things when you work with JRA, even if it's just our website, our website at $350 a month. Even though we sell consulting at $200 an hour, probably shouldn't say this because it's probably going to hurt our sales. Any customer we have, if they've got a question, a general question about business, I'm going to help them out and not really charge them for it unless it's like, you know, they need to take an hour or two of my time. But if you got a 10, 15-minute question, Ivan in Sacramento will tell you as much. I know he's watching right now. I mean, I'm happy to help. You know, I want your business to succeed. AdWords is just part of it. You know, your business has to be successful. One, you know, I want to see you succeed. Number two, from a business standpoint, you need to succeed if you're going to pay us for AdWords management. So we got a vested interest to make sure you do a great job with your junk removal company. What else you got?
All right, we got one from Albino Buffalo saying, Lee, when do you really start seeing a lot of profit? Question, after the second year.
I think you just answered it. The first year, all right, so regardless on if you go about it the JRA way, which is super aggressive advertising, or if you go about it a slightly slower way, you're mainly doing Craigslist, you're getting jobs from it, your profits aren't, you might actually, from the Craigslist route, the Craigslist and Facebook buy sell trade group, and you're on the truck all the time, and you know, the only person you're hiring is an occasional helper. To be honest with you, your profits in your first year are probably going to be higher than your profits in your first year with the JRA way. What happens is when you go about it on the aggressive advertising platform that JRA has, is about halfway into that second year, you're starting to see decent profits at that point. What I mean by that is, you know, all of a sudden you're $7,000, $8,000 a month profit. And I'm throwing this number out here. Obviously, this is just it depends on your market, depends on you, depends on how your business is going. But let's say through that point, all of a sudden 18 months in, you're starting to see decent profit. That's not counting paying you. So that's just what you realize, and that's also dependent on the year. But even what happens is that second year, if you go about it our aggressive advertising way, you're adding a second truck in the second year. It's going to be new. And if you've already have another new truck, we're talking cash flow here, free cash flow, so your profit's going to show higher. What's going to occur is a lot of that extra money you're bringing in is then going to go to that second truck, that second payment, adding in that second crew. So your second year profits might be $35,000, nothing great, nothing to write home about. What happened that third year, that's generally when people take off that third year. If you've been going about, if you've been investing hard into advertising, you're doing great work, you're following up with your customers, you've built up contracts. So you've got the insurance you need. So you have all the insurance you need to start building up contracts, because apartment complexes and property managers, most of them are not going to use you unless you have workers' comp, unless you have general liability. So if you've built up all these contracts, you're still advertising hard. You've been advertising hard through all 3 years. Even at times when you lose money, you didn't quit. That third year, that's when you can see $80,000, $100,000 profit, and that's actually with you taking pay. So that's with you paying yourself as a supervisor. So that's on top. If you pay yourself $50,000, you can see an $80,000 to $100,000 profit on top of that. If you've stepped back and you've hired a supervisor, you're paying $50,000, then your benefit for that $80,000 or $100,000 is very well doable. It takes dedicated effort. It takes risk. It takes determination. It takes spending money to get to that point.
All right, Hami's got another question. What's the best way to track employees' productivity, timing, and hours?
Yeah, so we use a time tracking app called ADP, and then we also use Vonago for our scheduling system. So, we're able to track, and Vonago doesn't track as well as we would like. So we're partnering with a company called Workiz, WORKIZ. I think it's a step up from House Call Pro. I used to always love House Call Pro, but the problem with House Call Pro is you can't have multiple locations or franchises. So House Call Pro won't work for our call center, even though if we work with one of y'all on our call center, you're not one of our franchises. What we're going to do through Workiz is we're actually going to treat you as a franchise, meaning as an additional location, so we're able to access, tons of companies throughout the country, like the franchises, even though they're not. Workiz has the capability of tracking employee productivity. So you actually accept a job, so you figure out what your income is for a job, and when the job's over, it can time that. So then it figures what you paid those individuals, those two guys through that time, the amount of money you make, you can figure out your profit on labor for each job. But you just need to look at what your total labor cost is, figure out how much money you're bringing in and how many hours everybody worked, and that's going to give you your productivity. And if you experiment raising prices, experiment on routing your trucks better to see if you can improve on that labor amount, and then work with your guys on sales, because some of your guys are underbidding jobs, I guarantee it. If you have employees, they're underbidding jobs, so you need to work with them on making sure they're not underbidding and they're getting the most possible out of a job.
And Hami was also asking about QuickBooks and T-Sheets. Just saying if you recommend those.
Yeah, QuickBooks is the standard. I love QuickBooks as far as for accounting. T-Sheets, we used T-Sheets briefly several years ago before T-Sheets synced over with QuickBooks. Aaron, you were on Junk Doctors when we were using T-Sheets. I don't know, it seemed like it just gave us some issues. Sometimes guys couldn't clock in using their phone. It's like it wouldn't recognize, they were just unable to clock in, so we'd have to go and manually enter them in. It's probably improved since then. It's probably a decent app. At the time, T-Sheets did not sync with QuickBooks, so we actually had to manually enter in hours into QuickBooks because we were using QuickBooks Payroll. If it syncs over, great now. It sounds like a winning combination. I just haven't personally used it or tested it out.
All right, we've got a question here from Ram. Ram said he recently moved to Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and he's working on learning skills in CRM. So he was asking, what kind of CRM system do we use, and are we hiring? And also, he's interested in learning pay-per-click and is Google Ads certified.
Awesome. So are you looking, when you say you're hiring, if you'll answer on there, are you looking to potentially work with JRA, or are you looking to work with Junk Doctors? Junk Doctors is always hiring. If you want to come haul some junk, by all means, come on. If you got a good personality and you're going to fit in, we are always hiring Junk Doctors. We're always short-staffed. Any of y'all that have employees or are trying to have employees, you know that your number one challenge right now in this environment, when everybody that wants to work is working, is how the heck do you get employees? On the JRA end of things, we are hiring. We just hired a content creator on the SEO end. We are going to be looking for an SEO expert. We were trying to hire somebody away from a really large, successful SEO company. On the Google Ads end, I would guess we're probably 6 weeks away from hiring another ads manager. Just looking at the number of accounts we have now and how many our current manager can handle. Once we hit that number, we'll be looking for another. I would anticipate that within the next 6 weeks.
And just to clarify, Ram did reply and said he was looking for JRA.
Cool.
So we got that one taken care of.
Yeah, and I tell you, Ram, if you want to come by and talk and visit, though, give us a call, 919-617-1975. after this episode, after this wraps up. Shane will probably take the call. It'll be Shane or Kirsten. Just let them know that Lee said to give a call and arrange a meeting. You can kind of see what we've got going on here, because we would be interested in meeting you, because I anticipate 6 weeks from now we're going to be hiring more on ads manager ends.
Jeremy, if you're still on, I can't see your question anymore, but I'd like to answer it.
Was that Jeremy Smith?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, he bought a business package down in Florida.
Perfect. Thanks, Jeremy. So if you're still on here, if you'll put that question back in, we'll get you taken care of. And then Ivan is saying C Corp or S Corp.
Either S Corp or LLC. I'm not familiar with California and LLCs, but I mean, I know one of the guys we work with in California has his set up under an LLC. We made a mistake. Actually, we're talking about problems and mistakes. One of the things we did is we set it up as a C corporation. And I knew I wanted an LLC. I don't know what happened. We went to the courthouse. They gave us the form for the C Corp. We filled it out. You should always get an attorney for that kind of stuff, or do it online. Do it online. And I say an attorney. You don't need an attorney to file an LLC. Go online to uslegalforms.com or Rocket Lawyer or something like that. It's relatively cheap. You're going to get the correct form. They're going to walk you through. Instead, I went to the courthouse. Some lady had no idea what she was going, gave me a form, and I was stupid enough and naive enough that I made a mistake and set up Junk Doctors as a C Corp. It actually has worked out okay with us the way we're set up. There's a few things we're able to do with it as a C Corp because we have another business at JRA, all completely legal, but basically we keep our profits in the C Corporation. It's Junk Doctors. It's worked out great, up until now, but I tell you what's going to happen soon is we've got 3 locations. We're probably not going to expand out Junk Doctors anymore. All of a sudden, all these profits are going to start coming into Junk Doctors, and they're going to be coming in so much that we're not going to be able to spend it. So we're going to have to start taking out those profits out of a C corporation. So what's going to happen is we're going to get that double taxation. So we're going to be paying the corporate income tax rate, which we've normally, between equipment purchases, we've normally been able to keep it at 15%. I've got to look at the tax laws. With Trump's tax plan that he put through, it limited the corporate income tax rate, which I think used to be 35% on the high end. It actually limited that to something. I don't remember what it is. I don't know if it's 15 or I think actually is 15%. But what's going to happen is we're going to pay that 15% or whatever it is, and then when we can't reinvest into the business, we're going to have to also pay our regular income tax rate coming out of it. So I mean, we're going to probably wind up paying over 50% on that money to get that money out of the business. So eventually, we're going to pay for our mistake of starting a C Corp. It's worked out great up until this point, though. Always go with an LLC or an S Corp. I don't know the exact differences between the two, to be honest with you. I know S Corp avoids the double taxation. I don't know what the difference between an LLC and an S Corp is. That would be a question for an accountant and attorney. I do know that generally LLCs work out great, and I recommend most people go with an LLC, unless you have a unique situation. What else we got?
So we got Jake Day Williams asking how to talk to my spouse about wanting to keep too many things from the halls. She resells a lot of stuff, but some things aren't worth the time. And he also follows up with, I'm building a bigger shed in our backyard, but I feel like that's just giving her an excuse to hoard more stuff. It's so frustrating. Our house is already full. Lee already suggested a night of Netflix and chill with Marie Kondo, but if you got some other suggestions, let's go for it.
Yeah, so is this stuff coming from Junk Removal Jobs? Okay, it's coming from a junk removal company. As far as the time that's spent to sell stuff, if it's worth it or not, my question is, what is her opportunity cost? So I'm going to assume you're running your junk removal business. I'm going to guess you're on the truck. I'm not positive, but I'm going to guess you're on the truck, Jake. If she's at home all the time and has the time to list this stuff for sale, get it ready, meet people, sell it, it's worth, you're talking about you building a new shed. I mean, you can build a new shed for a few $1,000s, but or less. Especially if we got off a junk removal job. We took a great shed from a junk removal job that we got paid to remove, took it to my dad's house, and he has an awesome shed that we just reassembled. Anyway, getting off topic there. It's what is her opportunity cost? Is she working another job? It's probably not worth her listing everything for sale. The other end is, what's your opportunity cost? It takes you time to go out of your way to go back to your home to drop this stuff off. You got to factor in gas costs and your time. Is that going to make you late to your next job? Are you missing out on jobs because you're trying to save all this stuff? Your primary focus, needs, depending on your business model, most junk removal companies' primary focus needs to be on actually doing junk removal jobs. If you have the extra time, or if it's something that's has a lot of value, then it makes sense to sell it. If you're talking $10, $15 items, $5 items that she's wanting you to bring home and y'all sort through, it might not be worth it, again, unless she has the time to do it. If she has the time to do it where she wouldn't be making any money and stuff, she enjoys doing it, could be a good thing to do.
And Jake did reply that, yes, I'm on the truck. She does make good money reselling. So I guess it would just depend at that point on the, total amount there.
Yeah, it was going to be the total amount and how long it's taking him to bring stuff back, how far out of the way your house is from where the landfill, transfer station, donation center is. Those just a matter of running numbers. And y'all just figure out, what you need to figure out is what it costs you to go out of your way. And you might want to do it from several different areas, from different zones, to go back to your home. And then you need to figure out how much the value of stuff that you have, what's the minimum value of stuff for you to bring that back to the house. And then every time when you're just loading a truck, you just figure, okay, I got $500 worth of stuff. I said, we'd bring anything back that's worth over $250. These are random numbers, so I'm going to take this load back. And then there could be, as long as it's not going to make me late to my next job. So y'all got to do some thinking. You just got to get down and you got to run some numbers and you got to figure out when is it worth it. And then Jake, when you're going through the stuff on the truck, you just have to realize when you've hit that threshold, bring stuff back home. You might want to adjust that threshold. If she really enjoys doing it, you might want to make her, then that you're probably gonna have a lower threshold because you want to keep her happy too.
So we got Ram coming back in. He said, sorry, I missed this part of the answer. Did you mention the CRM system you use and how you use it? And then he also asked if we use Salesforce.
Yes, we do use Salesforce. We use Vonago that also tracks customers. Unfortunately, Salesforce and Vonago do not sync up. When we go with WorkEase is actually also a CRM, and you can work with like MailChimp to do email campaigns from WorkEase. That'll be done soon. They are creating, you can check out WorkEase now. They are creating we are working with them to create a junk removal specific package. So there's 3 changes. 1, their online booking system's a little weak. 2, the way they do their schedule, it's tough to explain, but it's hard for multiple truck operations. They work perfect already for single truck operators. If you're a multiple truck operator, the way their schedule's set up, it's a little difficult. So we're working with them to get that stuff changed. Once that's done, we'll have a junk removal specific package. It'll include up to 10 users. I think the price on it's going to be $199 a month. You can do up to, I think it's 6 users at $149 a month. If you want to sign up with WorkEase now, feel free, go ahead. Mention Junk Removal Authority if you would. That way you get put into that basket. Once the junk removal package is done, you'll have those extra features. We can roll you right into that once that's done. You can also email me if you're interested in that scheduling platform as well, and we'll get you hooked up with Yuri. Thanks, Ram. Anything else?
Yeah, we got Walligan coming in. For a new company starting out, how would you market yourself as a competitor to the bigger companies who already have a stronghold in the industry?
Yeah, so I mean, you've got to really out advertise them. You need to make sure you have a professional website and take advantage of the fact you're locally owned and you're small. Talk about that. Talk about, give your story. If you've got a story, I know in Denver, the guy we worked with in Denver, Brandon and his wife are young. They're early 30s. I think she's late 20s. Brandon's probably about 30, 29, 30. And one of the things we talk about is their story. They've got two young kids. Brandon's trying, he's going out, he's taking a risk, trying to build up his business to support his family. And, we bring that in. We bring in the family aspect of it. Always, always, always use locally owned. There are a lot of customers that don't want to use what looks to be a big national company, or is, like Got Junk, College Hunks, Junk King. They want to go with a local company, so have a local area code, talk about the fact you're local. But you do need a really professional site, and guys, you're going to have to out-advertise. This junk removal space is getting crowded. I'm partly to blame. Junk Removal Authority is partly to blame. Junk Bob's partly to blame. Junk Guys DFW is partly to blame. The value that all these junk removal channels are providing on YouTube, the great information that I wish was available when I got into it, all the positives, there is the negative that there's more and more people that are now feel like they have the knowledge and they see other people being successful that they're going to jump in and do this thing. There's going to be very few of them that are going to go about it the JRA way, as far as a percentage of people that get into the business. If you can be an individual that advertises hard, advertises harder, spends more money than the established companies on advertising, then you're going to get people's attention, customers' attention, and if you in turn you've got a professional website, you're answering your phone professionally, or you're having the JRA call center answer your phone professionally, then you're going to be successful. The guys that's going to get tough on are the guys that primarily advertise on Craigslist and Facebook buy, sell, trade. Can these individuals still make it? Yes, but it's getting more and more crowded because of all the information floating around on the internet. Great, valuable information, but it's taking away some of the barriers to entry that was there before. Any other questions? Okay, so let's get back on. We got 15, I don't know, we might go a little over here, 15, 20 more minutes left. So any questions at all, please let us know. Guys, JRA, in addition to giving you all this free information online, check us out at junkra.com. We provide Google Ads Management, SEO. We've got companies that have been with us for 3 months on the keyword junk removal, whatever their city is. We've got a company ranking number 3, getting a lot of organic business now after probably 4 months on advertising. We do general consulting, so if you have any questions at all, let us know. And we've got that great JRA call center. You no longer have to be a slave to the cell phone. We can answer just calls that you miss. We can answer after-hours calls, whatever you need. We're here. It's not just me. We've got Aaron on the content creation end. We got Shane managing campaigns. We have Kayla as our main content creator and works on SEO. We've got some other content creators we contract out, and we've got 1 call center personnel. We've got us as backup, and then we're hiring 2 more call center people. So the call center is expanding right now. We answer the phone in your name. So if you no longer want to be a slave to this phone, then let us know about the JRA call center. Okay, moving on here. Being too lenient on employees. For a long time, we had employees. Grant Cardone has a saying that employees quit months before they leave. So what that means is an employee has given up. They no longer are interested. They're no longer having fun. They no longer like their job. They've quit their job, but they're not going to leave till 2 months later. So there were times where we had an individual that was being rude to customers, was not getting stuff done as quickly as possible, was misquoting jobs, was abusing our equipment. We've had this happen multiple times when we first got started. What we do now is we quickly address it. If the problem doesn't fix themselves, then that individual is let go. We're not doing them a favor by hanging on to them either. You know, the only reason if somebody was good at their job at one point and they're no longer good, the only reason they're no longer good at that job is because they no longer enjoy that job. Now, that could be caused by you. You need to ask, are you creating an environment, a negative environment, that's leading this individual to no longer enjoy their job? If that is, you need to correct that because you're not going to have one problem, just one issue with one employee. But that's going to tell you right now, if you got 20 people working for you and 18 of them are happy and 2 of them are unhappy, then it's probably not you. If you got 10 people working for you and 8 of those 10 are unhappy, something you're doing is making them unhappy. You need to address that, take ownership of it, take responsibility of it, fix that issue, and communicate with those employees and make sure they fix the problems they're having. Any questions?
Yep, Jeremy Smith got back with his, which was, how long of a lease do you recommend?
Is that on a vehicle or on an office, Jeremy?
I believe it was relevant to the office question,
okay.
But
Great.
Jeremy, if you'll just verify that as we answer this one.
Yeah, it depends on how large of a place you're going into. If you're going to go into a place that's at least, let's say you at least have like a 400 square foot office, which isn't very large, 400 square foot office space, and you've got another 1,000 to 1,500 square foot of warehouse, let's say 1,500 square foot warehouse. So you're looking at 2,000 square foot total. I wouldn't be afraid of going and signing out a 3-year lease on it if you have the money. Again, if you've got the money. Jeremy, just having a little bit of background on your situation, what I believe your situation is I wouldn't be afraid of a 3-year lease in this case. I wouldn't go any longer than 3 years because there's a good chance you're going to expand out and need a larger spot than that. Maybe not. I mean, you very well might not. If you're going to go on a smaller end, I'd sign a year, no more than a year lease. So if you're going to start out in a really small spot, no more than a year lease. And you might just want to look at a storage facility. If you don't have the money to do a 3-year lease on a larger space, you might just look at a storage facility. You need to make sure when you get that office, though, that it's got good highway access, it's convenient to landfills, it's convenient to transfer stations. and it's convenient to where a lot of your jobs are going to be. So one of the mistakes we made when we went to Charlotte too soon is we had an office spot that was too far north. A lot of our jobs were in the southern part of Charlotte. It's amazing, that kind of did change later on. But, and that's some information that's a little difficult to get sometimes when you first start out. But 3-year leases, I wouldn't be afraid of a 3-year lease as long as it's a big enough spot. Okay, so we used to worry way too much about how busy competitors were, and people talk about that with us all the time now. They talk about, I check online, I see Junk King or College Hunks or my local competitor that has an online scheduling system. I see how busy they are. I see their trucks rolling all over the place. My truck hasn't been rolling. Here's what I'm going to tell you is there's a good chance that that competitor may be busier than you at that very moment, but there's going to be a time where you're so busy you can't pay attention to him, and all of a sudden he's seeing your truck roll all around all the time. You want to understand, you want to understand what your competitors are doing just to see if they're doing something that would be great for you to try out. Don't get obsessed over paying so close attention to how busy they are, because your focus needs to be on getting you more jobs, on taking care of your customers, on following up with your customers to make sure your company's doing a good job. Too many people pay way too much attention to what their competitors are doing. Listen, guys, in junk removal, there's not but so much you can do to defeat your competitors. You take 100%, you make sure you're doing your best 100% and getting the word out and focusing on your customers and your potential business, and that's when you're going to win. If you focus on what your competitor's doing, he's probably not doing as good as you really think he is either. If you focus in on what he's doing, then your business is going to suffer. Not networking. I'm not a natural extroverted person. It isn't. I mean, there's a lot of things in my life I've had to work on. I mean, things just, a lot of things just don't come naturally to me. I'm not afraid to admit it. Basketball, I'm not a excellent basketball player, but I've got a decent shot. But all that came from, that did not come natural to me. It was just by shooting. I don't play anymore, so my shot might be terrible now. I've also put on about 25 pounds since I played. So flying, that's another great example. I'm an excellent pilot. Anybody that's flown with me will tell you that I'm great. I can do a lot with an airplane. I'm safe. I can do instrument flying. I can fly in clouds without seeing the ground. I do fantastic with it. It was not natural to me. So it absolutely did not come natural. I had to work towards it. I've seen a lot of other people that I'm now a better pilot that took to it quicker than I did. When it comes to networking, I'm not a naturally extroverted person, but what I've done, but I did it far too late, is actually get out there and just start talking to people. Start talking about your business, what you got going on, how you can help people. Get involved. If you have time to get involved with B&I meetings, do B&I. If you do Chamber of Commerce meetings, if you have a Rotary Club, do Rotary Club. Get out there, start talking to people, and it's amazing where you're going to find junk removal jobs. And a lot of times it can be contracts. Other business people, get around other business people and network with other business people and try and help them on whatever they're doing with their business, help them get more customers, whatever they got going on. Volunteer your truck and time for a Rotary Club to help clean up a home. And that's going to, when you help out individuals, they want to help you. Get out there and network. That's a mistake we made for far, far too long. We've tried to keep running trucks with maintenance problems just because we didn't want the downtime a lot longer than we should have, and generally what that's led to is more expensive repairs. We should have taken a truck down and gone ahead and repaired fuel injector issue instead. That led to a truck blowing an engine because it was throwing in too much fuel, and anyway, it caused issues. We've done that before. We've had all kinds of issues where we've tried to keep a truck rolling. We had one time it got in an accident. Luckily, it didn't hurt anybody, but it got in an accident because we tried to keep it rolling. So now we try our best not to do that. I'm not going to say our trucks are 100% maintenance wise. I don't think they ever will be. But we keep on top of at least the safety stuff. And if we encounter an issue with a truck that could potentially get worse and cause a more expensive issue, get that truck down, get another truck in operation, rent a truck, do what you have to do, go ahead and fix that issue. Don't delay fixing trucks. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, we got another question from Ram about, he said, I'm a big Grant Cardone follower and read 10X, Seller Be Sold, etc.
Yeah. My
question is, what general business productivity books could you suggest, and maybe some top business tips?
This really could be just a this could carry on way too long, but the 10X rule of his was the favorite one I've read of his. I thought that was a great book, very motivating. There's some good stuff to take away from it. Dan Kennedy also has a book when it comes to when you're ready to hire people. It's called Ruthless Management of People and Profits. It's not a bestseller. It's not a well-known book. It's a great book though on, I think a lot of times, a lot of the books you get on managing people now, they want you to handle them with kid gloves. And there's too much of really, I mean, leadership's a great thing, but there's too much talking about just being a leader. Sometimes you got to be a manager. And that book does a great job on kind of disputing and turning stuff up, common myths upside down, common business practices upside down that generally like professors and really people that have really never managed business, a small business especially. It kind of helps turn that stuff upside down. It's a great book. On the other end, even though I'm certainly not talking about, I agree with 85% of what Dave Ramsey says. Entree Leadership is an excellent book. I would get rid of a lot of the stuff that he talks about as far as always paying cash for everything, because that's incorrect. Debt and leverage is a great thing if you use it correctly. But Entree Leadership is a great book. Essentialism is a book I just read. I agree with about 80% of it. It's talking about prioritizing. I did a book review on it. You can check that out. But Essentialism was a great book I just read. I don't know. I'd have to think a bit more. I mean, I've read a bunch. I'm currently reading a book called Extreme Ownership. It's by U.S. Navy SEAL. So it's an excellent book. All I can say is just keep reading. I'll put up a list. I'll tell you what, Aaron. Let's put up a list on my 10 favorite business books. We'll stick that up on JRA.com or on JRA.com. We'll make a quick little post on that, because I would suggest reading through that stuff. There's a lot of great information that can really apply to a junk removal business. Anything else?
Just got one from Good Karma, just commenting in, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Napoleon Hill. Yeah, that's a great one.
And Crushing It by
Gary Vaynerchuk. Yeah, that's a good one too. So another one I'll add on there, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie, I believe. That's Dale Carnegie, wasn't it? Yeah, Dale Carnegie. That's a great book. You read it several times. I tell you what normally happens on that book is you read that book and then you apply those lessons for like a day or 2 days and then you forget about it. So if you read that book, try and apply it every single day, and things will probably work out pretty well for you. Okay, we are running a little tight on time. This might have to carry over into another episode here. But one of the largest mistakes we made is we went into new construction. So we actually construct these 4x8 wooden pens. We're still in it now, but we expanded way too fast in it. We had like 60 or 80 homes in like a month. And I don't know if it was that many. It was at least 40. It was way too many. Because what happens is we based our rates and what we charged off of what our competitors were charging without actually running numbers. And we were losing every time we do a job for these 60 homes, every time we do a pickup, which we were doing pickups twice a week, we were losing money on every single pickup. So before you know it, like a month in, we lost like $30,000, something completely ridiculous. And we had to stop that. We do it for about 10 or 15 homes now. We charge almost triple what we had initially charged. We are not going to expand out very large into volume in that field unless we lower our price. But at the moment, we're happy with that because we're able to do a really good job for these customers. They know they do not. The contractors never have to call us. We keep up on making sure that their trash is removed in a timely manner. We make sure the bins are not falling apart. We do magnets, making sure nails are picked up. So we do an excellent job. We were unable to do that at the price we were at before, and we're not going to do something if we can't do a great job. Great job with it. Anything else? Okay. We didn't purchase a Bobcat soon enough, and this can be for any type of equipment. Those of you that are hanging around in a pickup truck and trailer that doesn't dump for a long period of time, get you a dump truck. You're waiting too long. Bobcat, we spend $550 a month on a lease payment on the Bobcat. That thing probably makes us several thousand a month easily. Brand new equipment too, never breaks down. And so, just an excellent piece of equipment. We waited too long to purchase it. We turned over too much control to our first manager in Charlotte. So you still need to be very actively involved in your business. When we opened up, we thought we had a great guy down there. He was a good guy, but he just didn't run the company very well. He got bored with it too. And his performance suffered, the company suffered, and by the time we got in there and got back control of it, we lost a few customers at that point. and had gotten a few bad reviews because it wasn't being run tightly enough. We didn't keep up to date with work comp premiums. We've already talked about this. So get a workers' compensation policy that's pay as you go if at all possible. You might not be able to get it when you first get started. You don't want to have to estimate your payroll. Get a pay as you go policy. The nice thing is those companies generally will also do your payroll. And a lot of times it's a lot lower of a cost than even QuickBooks payroll, which isn't that high, or ADP. We use ADP. We're switching over to a pay-as-you-go work comp premium. We should have been on it months ago. We had a work comp claim that brought our experience mod up above what this company needed. So now we're going through the North Carolina Rate Bureau saying, you know, this claim was bogus. We need to get this rating down. And once that's done, this new company, which is going to save us a tremendous amount of money, is going to go into effect. Along that same lines, sometimes we would overwork people, or we'd ask them to do stuff they weren't comfortable doing. And that's Ike. That's our junk removal JRA office dog. Anytime anybody comes into the office that he doesn't know, he goes gets to barking. So anyway, overworked people who we'd overwork some people. We'd ask them to do stuff they weren't comfortable doing, and we had a few people get injured doing it. So you don't ever do that. If somebody thinks there's a chance of them getting injured, don't push them. That doesn't mean you don't let that individual go, but injuries, workers' comp claims, absolutely just annihilate your bottom line in junk removal. It's amazing how expensive it gets. It takes up a lot of time too. We went through some periods with junk doctors without working towards a goal. Always have a goal. Have it be a pretty high goal, a revenue goal, job goal, whatever it is, truck number goal, number of customers, number of contract customers, number of apartment complexes, number of employees. Have a goal to work towards, and always keep in mind, you know, I now write goals down at the beginning of the day and end of the day, personal goals. You also need personal goals, you need corporate goals that are really pulling you towards and making you take chances and go outside of your comfort zone to accomplish. You don't want to set small goals. You don't want to set reasonable goals. This is a cartoon thing. Set reasonable goals. You want your goals to be unreasonable, because that's going to allow you to make the big enough, you know, swings to hit the home runs instead of just hitting the singles. So you always have goals that you're pulling yourself towards. Questions?
Yeah, Ivan is asking, when buying a first new truck, what's a reasonable interest rate percentage?
I mean, you know, anywhere from 4 to 6%. I would even in 6.5%. If you can get 3 is great. If you have credit issues, I would not go out and take a loan out at 15 or 16% on a vehicle. It's just retarded. I would not do. I'd say on the very high end. Very high end, I wouldn't do more than 8%, and that's high. I mean, 8%, that's going to probably put your truck payment, if you have a $63,000, $60,000 vehicle, it's probably going to put your truck payment at like $1,200 a month. And that's a little high. I just wouldn't go over. If you have bad credit, you need to get your credit fixed. If you know, anybody out there with bad credit, get your credit fixed. You're going to be stuck buying cash vehicles and saving up money for cash, most likely. Do not pay over 8%, 10%, definitely not 10% to get that vehicle, because it's going to be tough to, it's going to be tough to make those payments at that point, especially if it gets slow. Okay. Some other problems you're going to encounter when running a junk removal business. Truck maintenance is going to be one of your biggest things. You're going to encounter truck maintenance problems. And a lot of times it's going to happen when your schedule's really full. And when you have an issue like that, a lot of times you go into almost like analysis paralysis. You're trying to figure out what should I do, and you take no move at all. Anytime you've got a stressful situation, a stressful problem that's encountered you, I recommend picking up a pen, picking up a piece of paper, going through each of the steps that need to get accomplished. And yeah, this is going to take a few minutes. Airline pilots, or just pilots in general, one of the things they say, especially in airline stuff, it might not work as well if you're 6,000 foot in the air in a single engine piston airplane. But if you're 40,000 foot in the air and all of a sudden you have an issue on your airliner, on your commercial airplane, one of the first things they tell you to do is take a sip of your coffee. It's not in the books, but take a sip of your coffee and get out your QRH, which is like a handbook. It's a handbook telling you if you're having issues, what you should do. Start working through your list. And there are very few times where something's happening in junk removal where you don't have 2 or 3 minutes to think through your issue. So write down each of the steps you need to do and work them in order. Multitasking is great. A lot of times in a stressful situation, if you try and multitask, then you're going to be going off in a million different directions and getting nothing done. Accomplish that first item, then the second item, the third item, and so forth. So, such as with truck maintenance issues, this is going to be good because you're going to have truck maintenance issues. Very first thing you need to do is you determine what the heck's wrong. And it could be something that could be fixed right there on the side of the road. All it might be is if you're on the truck, you get your tools out and you put a hose back on that blew off. If you're not on the truck, you might need to meet the truck crew at some place to repair it yourself if you've got any sort of mechanical ability. If it's something that's you're not going to be able to fix or you're not sure what's wrong, you then need to kind of determine your repair time. So once that's determined, if it's determined you're not going to fix this truck today, then at that point you need to start thinking about what you need to do to get that truck fixed. What I would do beforehand is I'd have a mobile mechanic. If you could find a mobile mechanic that's worth a damn, they can be hard to find. Those are excellent because a lot of times they can come to you. They can go to the side of the road and potentially fix something. You also might need to work in, how you're going to get this truck back. You're going to need to get it towed potentially. So go ahead and arrange the tow and arrange an Uber ride or whatever for your truck, for your drivers or your truck team. Once that's done, you need to determine a plan for the rest of the jobs that day. So if you've only got a job or two, maybe you can and you're slow the next day or you have openings the next day, maybe you can call these customers up and see if they can get rescheduled. If they can't get rescheduled, you're probably going to have to rent a truck or use another truck. Of course, if you have another crew running around, this other crew is just going to have to pick up the slack probably. So you need to determine what's your plan for that job for today. And then you need to communicate with customers, so that's huge. You need to try and accomplish this in a timely manner and then communicate with customers to let them know you're going to be late, to see if they can reschedule. And you just need to be in communication with them. And if you're going to be late, guys, if you're going to be 2 hours late, let that customer know, hey, we've had a breakdown. There's a good chance it's going to be like 2 hours late before we get there. Is that going to work out, or do we need to look at us coming out a different day? We apologize, but that's what's going to occur. Don't tell a customer you're going to be 10 minutes late when you're going to be 2 hours late. Don't tell a customer you're going to be 10 minutes late and call them every 10 minutes, tell them you're going to be another 10 minutes late. If you think you're going to be 2 hours late, it's best to get in front of that issue, let that customer know so they can arrange their schedule. And normally if you're upfront with the customer, they're going to understand you had an issue. Go and get it fixed. And if you have to knock money off the job, you have to knock money off the job. It's better to limit an issue you have. Yeah, you're already having to pay for vehicle repairs, so it's like, damn, I really don't want to have to discount this customer. But you don't want to lose that customer either. So you don't want to let one problem create another problem, which is you losing this customer later on down the line. Write down what you need to do whenever you face a major issue, a stressful situation, work through it in order. If you go out of order, that's a big Navy SEAL thing. That's one of the things I'm reading about in this Extreme Ownership book. Guys talking about the SEALs teach that all the time, is when you're having a tactical issue that you have to work through, you work through it one step at a time. You don't multitask, because if you multitask, nothing's ever going to get done and you're going to make a mistake. Employees calling out sick or showing up late / short-staffed. Again, guys, there's no reason of sitting there and moping about it. If somebody's late, how am I going to get jobs off right now? Do I need to call the customer? Do I need to get on the truck? Can I call, who all can I call to get in? You need to address that situation with that employee so it doesn't happen again, but it's going to happen. You can't get stressed out over it. It's going to happen. Slow months where you lose money is going to occur. You're going to have slow months, especially as you grow. What's amazing is actually you get larger, your losses in your slow months actually compound. The nice thing is as you get larger, your busy months, you make more money. So what you need to do is you need to make sure you set aside some cash. So we generally come about September, we're starting to make sure we've got a little extra cash reserves to get us through December, January, and February, and half of March. So you need to be doing the same. You also need to get a line of credit established. You don't want to have to go establish a line of credit. You don't want to have to go to a bank to borrow money when you have to borrow money. So when things are rolling along and you're doing great, you got extra cash in the bank, your financial statement looks awesome, that's when you go to the bank and you try and get as big of a line of credit as you possibly can, and you leave it alone. You don't touch it until you really need it. So if you got a $50,000 line of credit, don't hit that $50,000 just because you won't, there's something you want to do or get or whatever. You want to have that $50,000 when you actually need that line of credit, and that's a big major issue with the line of credit. We'll get to questions in just 1 second. Let me finish what all is on this list here. Underquoting jobs. If you have employees underquoting jobs, one, you need a way to figure out their underquoting jobs. End of job pictures work excellent. End of job pictures compared to what the job quote was. and you need to address with that individual. You need to teach them sales skills, and you need to make sure they understand the importance of them quoting the job accurately. And when you have extremely busy days where you don't know how the heck you're going to get all these jobs done, again, one step at a time. If there's customers you want to try and reschedule, call up a list and just ask. There might be some customers that don't care if they have to go tomorrow. Just make sure you do them right tomorrow. But you know, you need to work through a list. So if there's no way you're going to be able to get stuff done, call up some of those customers, figure out if they can go on a different day or a different time. If they can't, then find a way to make it happen. Find a way to get it done that day. Work through your issues, figure out how you can make it happen. Handling the stress of problems is going to happen. Guys, always know that everything is temporary. All problems are temporary. Even if you've got a huge medical issue, it's going to be temporary. Even if it's going to kill you, you're going to die eventually, so it's going to be temporary. So no matter what you got going on, everything is temporary. All you got to do is work through it, and things are going to come back around. No matter how bad anything is going on in your life or your business, it's temporary. Things are going to get better. They might get worse before they get better, but at some point along the line, things are going to get better. You don't want to focus on everything that has to get done, or what can go, for what else can go wrong. You want, again, create that step-by-step plan like we were talking about, and then communicate like we were talking about before. And if you aren't having problems, again, you're not expanding enough, or you're not taking enough chances to grow your business. Problems and mistakes are going to happen as long as you're growing, as long as you're taking business. And then finally, guys, take responsibility and ownership of all mistakes and all issues that you're having. If your truck breaks down, it's your fault. You should have gotten that oil changed. You should have had a backup truck in place. You should have had some sort of option in place. If that truck breaks down, it's your fault. If an employee gets into a wreck in one of your vehicles, you should have trained them better. It's your fault. If an employee no-shows you, you should have either had better employees, or you should have had, communicated before that this individual, to keep this issue from coming in. It's your problem no matter what. You got to take ownership for issues. If this phone isn't ringing, you're not advertising hard enough. You're not getting the word out. You're not networking enough if this phone isn't ringing. And if employees aren't performing to standards, again, even though the employee is the one carrying out the action, it's up to you to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing and holding them up to your standards. So if they're not meeting your standards, it's your responsibility to take care of that issue. By taking that ownership and responsibility of all problems that have happened or are going to happen, what that means is you're going to be looking at every area of your business on how to improve it, and you're overall going to have a greater business. If you're blaming others for all of your problems, you're never going to address the main issue, which is your business and the systems and the processes you need to put in place to make it successful. All right, so we've run about 15 minutes over. We're going to try and answer any last questions and comments and all. Maybe do another. We got another 5 minutes. Maybe we can roll through these.
Got it. All right, so first question is from Wally Gon, and he's asking dumpsters. What type of dumpsters do you recommend for the Isuzu? What dumpster manufacturers do you use, and why? And I did clarify, these are for roll-offs. These are for removable dumpsters, not a fixed bed.
I'm not a dumpster expert. The only truck we've ever had that did removable removable truck bodies was a switch and go truck with the Isuzu NRR. I wasn't a huge fan of the switch and go. It was slow. You had to line it up just right. It wasn't extremely intuitive. People really had to pay attention to use the switch and go. Winch cables would give issue. You'd have a really heavy bin that would sometimes cause problems. So I like, on the Isuzu trucks, I like hook lifts. I've never owned a hook lift truck, but I mean, you just look at them. They look to be easy to run. They're robust. I doubt they hardly ever break down. The disadvantage is they're heavier, so you never want a removable roll-off type dumpster setup on an Isuzu NPR. Always you want the NRRs because that system is heavier. I love the hook lift system. I'm probably just not the best person to talk about on this because I'm certainly not an expert in dumpster equipment.
All right, and then the last question on here is from 2M Junk Removal. Hello, my name is Tyler Matarano. Hey Tyler, how's it going? And from 2M Junk Removal, we were wondering about Yahoo Local and Bing Local. Are they worth it putting the time into?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when we do pay-per-click campaigns for customers, we generally do Bing. Hey, Yahoo and Bing are the same thing. So Bing is the search engine for Yahoo. So if you're on Bing, you're also on Yahoo as far as ads. Yeah, it's worth it. And here's why. Your majority of your Bing users are older individuals, 55 plus, because Bing is the default browser on Internet Explorer. So most younger people, one of the first things we do when we get a new computer is we put on Mozilla, we put on Google Chrome, we use a browser other than Internet Explorer. So what happens is some of your target market's using Bing. So 55 plus, a lot of times we've actually seen their average income on that is higher because it's an older clientele than it is on Google. The amount of business you can get from Bing is it's peanuts compared to what you can get from Google. But the cost per click's a lot less. So in a market where your cost per click on Google might be $12 or $13, it might be $3 on Bing. You're not going to light the world on fire on Bing, but there is business to be had on Bing. I would suggest being on it. And actually, if you've got a limited budget on AdWords, getting on Bing that's not a bad strategy to be just on Bing. Google can kill you. Your cost per click on Google is so high. If you're trying to self-managing a Google Ads campaign is close to suicide as you can possibly come on the internet if you're having a high budget. Self-managing a $500 budget, you're probably not going to get yourself into a whole lot of trouble. Your trouble's limited. If you've got a $4,000 Google Ads budget, you're committing suicide without even knowing it. You're dying a slow, painful death. Generally, if you're self-managing it, unless you've got some industry knowledge already and unless you have an awesome understanding of AdWords. The problem is it does take so much time. Our ads managers look at the campaigns daily. Back to the original question, yes, get on Bing because there is business to be had on Bing and it's a lot less of a cost than Google. Got anything else? All right, guys, so hey, this is every Tuesday, every Thursday from 12 noon to 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, plus or minus a little bit. JRA goes live with Making Hay with JRA, where we answer all of your questions and we help you about running your junk removal business, and we help you grow your business or get into business. Check us out at JRA.com. Again, anything we can do. We're working with about 30 companies throughout the country right now. We're wanting to help as many people as possible on Google Ads, on SEO, on growing business. If you're looking to get in business, I promise you that business package we have at $10,000, it's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of value you're going to get from it. Full operations manuals, video training and testing, years worth of consulting. You come down into Raleigh, you learn how to run. You right on the ground, within the troops, in the middle of the action, you learn how to run a successful junk removal business. And again, you get all that training, but on the other end, like we talked about at the beginning, you pay that $10,000, you're going to be seriously motivated to make sure you make this junk removal business successful. You don't want to leave yourself an out, guys. Business schools all the time talk about having an exit strategy. That's bullshit. You don't want an exit strategy. You do not want an exit strategy. You want to be going full board ahead, focus completely on moving forward and growing your business. If something happens and you fail, you'll figure it out then. You don't want an exit strategy. You don't want to have if I got a big obstacle, if I got somebody big that I got to beat, I don't want to, and I've absolutely got to beat him to accomplish my goal. I want to be backed into a corner. I don't want a door, unless that door is going to let me out so I can come back around and get better position on them. You don't want to exit door in your business. That business package will help you out. We're here to help. 919-617-1975. Check us out at JRA.com. We'll be back on Thursday, 12 noon to 1 o'clock. Look forward to seeing you.